Let's consider our relative frequency distribution for our ages of presidents at inauguration. For a relative frequency distribution, we're going to keep the same classes that we just created. We'll keep our same classes, and this time what we will do is take our frequency numbers in our frequency distribution and divide each one of them by the total number of data values that we have, in this case 45, to create a percentage for each of the classes. So pulling up our calculator, we can do this division. Our calculator is going to give us a decimal, so we're going to move that decimal place 2 places. 0.2, we move our decimal place 2 places over to get a percentage. And that's because percent means per 100. So in order to get that percentage, we want to multiply by 100. Repeat this for the other numbers. And there will be some rounding in here if we round to the nearest percentage. We have our relative frequencies here. So these values would end up creating the table for the relative frequency distribution. So I've shown work here in my column, but a formal table would not have that work. Rewriting this on the side. And we have our age and relative frequency histogram on the right. If we add the percentages together, we will get 100% in this case, but I did do some rounding. I rounded 3 divided by 45. I rounded 23 divided by 45 because we had 0.51 and many ones after that 5. And then 1 out of 45 was 0.02 with the 2 repeating. So there was some rounding done. The rounding was such that I was able to still get percentages that add to be 100. Sometimes when you're doing a relative frequency distribution and you round your numbers, if you add up the percentages, you may get something like 97%. Or 102%, or something very slightly over or under 100%. That's all due to rounding, and it's okay. If you are concerned with that, then you just take that percentage out to a few more decimal places, and it should alleviate that rounding error somewhat. And there's our relative frequency distribution. So notice for both the cumulative frequency distribution and the relative frequency distribution, we had to first find the grouped frequency distribution before we could then find our relative frequency, or in the previous example, our cumulative frequency. So this grouped frequency distribution is pretty important also to the other types of tables that we have. In the next lesson, we're going to look at the different graphs that are directly associated with these different types of frequency distributions.